religious music performance. This is an interesting subject. In fact, it is very difficult to separate religion from music. When you observe every religion, especially Hinduism and Christianity also. Islam, I do not know whether they use any music. They do, yes. Especially Middle East music, very famous. And Buddhism. Then you can ask one question. Why there is a precept? Nacha, Gita, Vadita, Visuka, Dasana, Mala, Gandha, Vilepana, Dharana, Mandana, Vibhusanathana, Vedamani. So many things. There's one word, Vadita. Beating drums is under that group. Playing musical instrument like piano, any kind of music. Then what is wrong? Many people cannot understand why the Buddhists want to keep away from this thing. What sort of religious value is there by observing this? Now Hindus cannot practice their religion without music. But when you visit every Buddhist country, whether Theravada or Mahayana, you can see how they perform this kind of, so many other gadgets are there, trumpets and drums, different kind of drums, and very nice rhythm. In Sri Lanka, they never perform full moon, new moon celebration or paritta chanting or blessing service, even in private houses, not only in the temple. When they invite the monks to their houses for almsgiving or dana, also they perform this music. In Thailand and Burma also, they do have their own traditional musical instrument and drums and trumpet. When you visit Mahayana countries like China, Korea and Tibet, Mongolia, you can see the difference. In Theravada countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand and Burma, only lay people or the devotees perform this ceremony. But in Mahayana countries, monks perform all these things. They don't invite lay people to come and perform. When they pray, when they chant, they beat the drums and there's so many other things. Even trumpet also used by them, especially Tibetan style. So they do not employ outsiders to perform this musical instrument. Then what is the precept? You must understand, simply by using this one word music, you cannot stop there. There are various kinds of music. Cultural, devotional, religious music, which create some sort of harmony, increase the devotion and arouse human emotion. That emotion creates inspiration. Inspiration influences the mind. especially young people, children. But what are the instruments or what sort of performances that they are going to play? Certain things arouse the animal nature in a human mind, influence the human mind to commit certain immoral or indecent practices. Music can influence them. That is the very reason why Buddhism point out not to abuse, not to misuse music, but there is a limit. Cultural, devotional practices which support the feeling, inspirations, not restricted. For 1,000 years they have been practicing this. So, music and religion are interrelated, but we must know how to use and how to perform and the occasion which create this devotional feeling. Otherwise, music alone cannot create religious feeling. So now you have to give me the subject to talk. That is not my subject. Music is not my subject. Culture. What is culture? Usually, external decorations or development, performance, behavior, character. There are so many items that we can introduce as culture. But Buddhism concentrates more on mental culture, not external culture. Mental culture means mental discipline, mental training, mental purity, mental development. So when we cultivate our mind, then our behavior, our character, our way of life also change. That is called culture. When you say he is a cultured man, that is the real meaning of this word, cultured man. Cultured man, one who behaves as a real gentleman, is a cultured man. One who does not harm others or disturb others or bluff others. One who does not practice immoral things. He is a cultured man. So when you come to religion, cultured means training, discipline and purity. In fact, for this word meditation also, we use the word mental culture. Meditation means mental culture. We try to culture our mind, to train and discipline our mind, to make use of this life without abusing, without misusing. That is culture. Besides this, there are various activities that we introduce as culture. When we beautify or decorate, color certain things, through these activities we try to show our culture. The way how we erect building, how we make furnitures, articles, the shape, decoration, to attract the human mind. That is culture. In our primitive stage, we have never learned these things. Everything we used in very gross form, very rough and tough. Then went on developing and shaping, decorating. Let us take our clothing. At the beginning, the main purpose of using clothing is to cover the nakedness, or just to cover our body, to avoid heat and wind. That's all. But today, people do not use their clothing for that purpose. They have completely forgotten that. Their shape and fashion, the way how they make their dress. When we visit certain countries, we can see the purpose of wearing their clothing is not to cover their body, but just to open their body. We can see how they have forgotten the purpose of using the cloth. Again, the color, decoration. We want to show the beauty, decoration. Especially, I think, ladies are very, very particular about decorations and the colors and the fashions and the beauty of their dress by nature. So when they use a new dress, they want others to say something. If others keep quiet without saying, oh, your nice is very, very nice, she asks, what do you think about my dress today? This is the mentality of a lady. The other one is hairstyle. These two things are very, very important for a lady. Sometimes their life also not that important. Dress and hairstyle. And that is culture. External culture. Man also got certain things. Many things that they are proud to show others as their culture. The way how they do certain things in cultured manner, very reasonable way, if not very rudely, very uncultured, without any system. You can differentiate cultured and uncultured. The way how we talk, cultured and uncultured. The way how we treat others, and how we handle certain things, certain problems. How we can behave as cultured people in spite of various disturbances, difficulties, and many other problems. That is why the mental culture is important. So the external decoration that we use as our culture cannot train the mind, cannot culture our mind. When we use beautiful, colorful dress, we decorate only our physical body, but our minds are dirty, wicked, cruel. Then there is no culture. So we have to decorate, we have to culture our mind. When the mind is cultured, internal, external, attitude, way of life, also run very smoothly without creating problems and troubles and disturbances. So, people have not understood the real meaning of this word, culture. Now we see cultural performance, dance, music. That means the way how they dance, the way how they sing, the way how they use their musical instrument, never arouse the animal nature or vulgar way of life, but to entertain human emotion, to gain some sort of satisfaction and happiness. Now that is why it is called cultural dance, cultural music, cultural songs, used only for that purpose. Please remember, human beings are not like animals or some other living beings. They have very strong emotion, human emotion. This emotion needs some sort of entertainment. If you do not entertain this emotion, what will happen? You can become very aggressive, very violent. When you entertain that emotion, you have no chance to that emotion to abuse or misuse. Not to mix up with anger or jealousy or grudge. You can calm your mind, then your nervous system, your glands and the physical body, the whole system get the chance to calm. Through this entertainment, when the emotion is satisfied, then the whole system also calms down. But this has nothing to do with religion. This is our normal human attitude. But it doesn't go against religion. If such entertainment are not under immoral aspect. Now you can see, you should not talk anything against this kind of cultural performance. Because this supply or this provide something for us to control, to entertain our human emotion. Then we can laugh, and when we laugh, reduce the tension, anger, temperature. When inspirations appear in our mind, then soothing feeling we experience. Are these things we gain through this cultural dance, singing, music, and various other entertainment. That is why even few thousand years ago, they have incorporated these performances with religious activities. Whenever there is a gathering, they always invite these musicians and others. Another important thing, do you know, few hundred years ago, there were no television, cinema hall, video, and various other the modern discoveries to entertain. Temple or the place of worship is the only place in many countries where people gather, assemble. So when they are assembled in the temples and places of worship, they perform religious services and praying and chanting and blessings and offering. Then at one more item, this kind of entertainment. Especially young people develop their religious knowledge and understanding, connection through these practices at the beginning. Otherwise they cannot understand. When we talk, when we preach, when we give lectures, they cannot understand. But through those practices, slowly they get used to a religious way of life. So we should not condemn at once. So since this attitude can create some sort of happiness, satisfaction, devotion, so they have incorporated with religion in every country. You can see they cannot chant anything without beating a drum or and there must be something to catch the rhythm, how to chant. The monks can chant without music background. But there are many others who cannot chant. Now when you visit the Chinese temple, you can see those Chinese monks, how they chant, dun 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 dun. Then going on chanting, that's the rhythm. So you cannot say it is wrong. You cannot say it is not Buddhism. Then how can in Ceylon, Sri Lanka and other countries they use this kind of thing? If those Chinese monks are wrong, no, we cannot say they are wrong. That is their culture. That is the way how they were trained. This understanding is very important. Then how to end? You cannot end with music. Or anything else you want to know? Yes, Mr. K? Anything else? Anything else that you want to know? Nothing. What is that? Drums, trumpet, and various other instruments when they play, not only human beings. You can see how other living beings also react, according to the rhythm and the tune, especially a snake, birds, and dog. Dogs also cannot tolerate. Sometimes when they start music here, and they also start their own music, dog music. they entertain us, having heard. So, divine music. Do you know that story, the incident? Panchasikha, a divine musician, so one day visited the Buddha, just in front of the Buddha, and started using this one, what do you call that? I don't know the name of, what do you call that? Violin. So playing this violin and singing. The Buddha was listening attentively. He did not say, this is not a place for you to come and play and sing. He listened attentively. When he finished his singing, he said, I was listening very carefully. The rhythm of your musical instrument, your voice, and the tune, the harmony, I was watching very carefully, is remarkable. He used this word, remarkable. I really appreciate your talents. So he appreciated. He did not chase him away. So, divine music is very famous. People believe that devas always enjoy their life better than human beings. Almost every day, entertainment, performance, and dances, singing and merrymaking, that is their way of life. That is why they have no time to think about religion. This is the disadvantage of becoming a deva. They forget. Throughout their life they go on enjoying and enjoying and enjoying, and one day suddenly disappear. That is the end of their life. Enjoy their life. They enjoy according to the merits that they have accrued during the previous birth. When there are no more merits for them to enjoy, they have to see the end of their divine music and divine entertainment. So they too enjoy. So everybody, every living being enjoy music. There is one thing that I have to clarify. People always ask this question, whether it is permissible for us to do, to commit this or that. This question is wrong. If not, some people say, we are forbidden by our religion. That saying is also wrong. Remember this. We are not allowed to do this according to our religion. That is also wrong. Then what is the Buddhist attitude? So when you consider the Buddha's way of teaching, and you can understand this. You cannot find anywhere in his teaching where he has said that you should not do this. That is not the language used by the Buddha. He did not command. He did not introduce any religious law. He did not threaten or frighten you as a kind or compassionate teacher. He says, this is the language that he used. How nice if you can keep away from this. Let us take killing or destroying others' life or hurting others. So the advice is, how nice if you can keep away from this. That means he gives chance for you to think by considering that it is wrong, it creates pains and sufferings and disturbances, then you make up your mind not to do this. When you decide in that way, on the other hand, you cultivate certain good qualities or virtues in your mind. Kindness is behind this, sympathy is there, compassion is there, understanding is there, cooperation is there, all the good qualities are there. But if you say, oh, I am not allowed to do this according to our religion, I am forbidden to do this, you never get the chance to cultivate any of these good qualities in your mind. Remember this. Without considering, without thinking, without even understanding, simply you say, according to our religion, we are not allowed to do this. This is small children's language. Now see the difference now. How nice if you can keep away from this. Again he says, I am not telling you all these advices as religious laws or commandment or religious theories or belief or tradition. Then everything that I have mentioned during my lifetime, 45 years, according to my own experience. Not a divine message given to me by somebody, not a religious law created by anybody, not a tradition maintained by religious people, my own experience. What I have done, how I experienced the good and bad effects within this life and previously. My own experience. I can understand very well how I had to suffer physically and mentally because of the wrong thing that I have done. Even within this lifetime, the problems and troubles and sicknesses and disturbances that he had to face. Then he revealed to his disciples, do you know why I had to suffer from this? Although I am harmless, innocent, compassionate, understanding, enlightened religious teacher, I never disturb anybody. Then why do people disturb me? Or why did they try to kill me? Why did they hurt me? Why I had to suffer from these incurable sicknesses? the enlightened religious teacher, when he had incurable sicknesses, he never told anybody that someone has done some charm. For everything, many people, charm, nothing but charm. They never think that sicknesses are natural. No one is free from sicknesses. No one is free from troubles and disturbances. If such great people like the Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad or Krishna or Rama or many others, if they were not free from disturbances, what about us? Then why do we think due to charms and black magic no shame? Almost every day how many people come and tell us charms and black magic. And there are very cunning monks and some others take the advantage. They go and give thousands of dollars to those monks and they say, oh, we can cure. They believe. Such people are mentally bankrupt, I think. No thinking power at all. They believe what those stupid monks say. I can cure you. Doctors, specialists, all the others tried their best. But this ignorant monk who does not know anything about the nature of this sickness, oh, I can cure. Only $600 or $1,000. After that they come and complain to us. You have to get rid of this kind of weaknesses. Otherwise no learning, no understanding. Wherever you remain as stupid people, you become victim to those cunning and unscrupulous fellows. The Buddha, you know, he had to suffer from 12 kinds of sicknesses. Then he explained, do you know, I am suffering from this. During one of my previous births, I have done this. This is the effect. Natural. So, any time, whether we have religion or not, whether we believe in religion or not, whether we believe in karma or not, when we violate the existing universal law, that is called dharma. Dharma means universal law, not created by anybody. You cannot change this by worshipping and praying. The advice given by the Buddha for us to cultivate, to adapt our way of life, not to violate this existing universal law, that is called righteous way of life. No religious laws, no commandment. Whether you have a religion or not, you have to face the consequences or the effect. Therefore, we cannot say that this law is given by the Buddha. He has not given any laws. He has not created any law. He explained how this natural law, cosmic law, exists, function and effect when we violate it. This is the nature of his enlightenment to understand. This afternoon, somebody came and asked this question. When you read some books, we can find out, even before the Buddha's coming to this world, in India, people had this belief about karma, cause and effect, rebirth, and samsara, wheel of existence. And these beliefs were there. Therefore, how can we say the Buddha is the one who revealed or who realized these religious terms? It's a very important question. The answer is this. Remember, after gaining his enlightenment, when he surveyed the world, the nature of the human mentality, he found out the minds of all those people were clouded, deluded, misled due to various misconceptions. Although the dharma existed in this country, he used this word. The Buddha used this word. The dharma existed in this country before my coming. During the previous Buddhas also dharma existed in this country. But later, misconception, misinterpretation, wrong ideas, imaginations completely covered the truth. Now you can understand, observe unbiasedly what Buddhists are doing. Whether they believe or practice the same dharma taught by the Buddha, or whether they are doing something else. They are divided into various groups and challenge and condemn others, try to glorify their own method and belief and practices, and try to point out that they are more genuine, more refined, like Theravada and Mahayana and Vajrayana and so many other groups. But they never think that they have gone so far away from the Buddha and his teaching. They teach something else, they do something else, but try to show that they are more powerful, more genuine, more accurate. That is what the Buddha said. The dharma existed, but later people have completely polluted the pure dharma. Therefore it is very difficult for me to preach to convince these people. That means the meaning of this word dharma, the meaning of karma, meaning of rebirth that existed in India before the Buddha's coming. When you compare with the Buddha's interpretation, explanation, you can see a vast difference. Not the same karma, not the same dharma or rebirth. Now explain. What is karma according to the existing dharma in India at that time? Any action, good or bad, created by human being, intentionally or unintentionally, people create karma. Therefore they have to face the consequences or the effect. The Buddha said no. Here the Buddha's interpretation of karma. He says, it is impossible for a man to create karma, whatever he does, unintentionally. Unintentionally means without creating the idea in his mind that he wants to do this. in that action there is no karmic effect. Because karma is created by the mind, not the body. If mind does not know what I have done, how can I create a karma? I see the difference. Another point. The belief they had at that time in existing religion, when once we have committed a bad karma, it is impossible for us to get rid of this karma or overcome the effect. Somehow or the other we must pay. The Buddha says no. Now see the difference again. Now other religions emphasize this very strongly as compassion. They confess and confess and confess and forgive. Forgiveness of sin. That is why many people like such religion. In Buddhism, what is the method introduced by the Buddha? We also deny this confession. Another person cannot forgive our sins. But if we know the technique how to overcome our own karma, we have chances. We should not surrender. This is the Buddha word. We should not surrender ourselves to our own karma, thinking there is no other choice. After all, this is my own karma, what to do? Don't think in that. Those who believe in God always say, whenever they are in trouble, whenever there is any disaster take place, this is what to do, it is will of God. And those who say what to do, this is our own karma, both are in the same boat. No difference. The Buddha said, don't surrender yourself to your own karma. If you use your intelligence, your effort, and maintain purity in your mind, reducing your anger, jealousy, grudge and greed and evil forces from your mind, and then you get the chance to overcome. Because the virtues and the good qualities that you have cultivated become more powerful and energetic forces. And then you can overcome the bad effect of karma. If you keep quiet, what to do, this is our own karma, then karma very easily come and catch your neck. I see the difference. In every word, when you analyze, you can understand. The Buddha has given credit, due place, to man's intelligence. Intelligence can topple so many other things. The more we become ignorant, then worldly conditions and karmas and so many other forces also very easily can attack us. Let us take our physical body from the medical point of view. When the resistant power in our physical body is weaker, little bit of virus or germs that enter into our body can create, very easily can create sicknesses, because no power in our physical body to fight with these germs. In the same manner, if our minds are weaker, if you have no confidence, if you think we are hopeless cases, then all the other external forces also come and play and attack us. Let us take evil spirit or devils or ghosts. If your minds are strong, those evil forces become powerless. They cannot attack you. They cannot disturb you. Your mental energy, the vibration that you create, frighten. Chase them away. They have no power to attack you, disturb you. If you believe all these devils and ghosts and spirits and charms and black magic and this and that, although there are no such external sources, your mind itself creates all this trouble. Weakness of the mind. So the mind is responsible for all these things. In fact, Buddhism is known as Vijnanavada. Vijnana means consciousness, the mind. Analysis of the mind. Because you cannot find another religion where these analysis, interpretations, definitions were given by human mind, the nature of human mind. This belief of Atta or soul or self or spirit originated in the man's mind due to lack of understanding of human mind, human consciousness. This is imagination created by the mind that there is a soul. The soul departs from here after our death. When we analyze this mind, we can understand how many sections, how many departments, how many mental faculties, how many kinds of mental energies are there. But others do not know anything about these things. They know only about soul. But nobody knows what it is, where it is. It is an imagination for our consciousness. So when this mind it becomes energetic and rich, and all the misconceptions and devils and ghosts and spirits all disappear. So the uniqueness, the beauty in the Buddha's teaching, you can see through this. Not on 5 precepts or 8 precepts or this or that, because there are many who observe these things without any religions. They are good people in this world. People can become good without religion. That is not the main purpose of a religion. The purpose of religion is to understand what this life is, how to make use of this life, how to see the end of our disappointment and unsatisfactoriness in this life. And that is the purpose of life. Anyone can say, don't kill, don't steal, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not kill. That is not religion. Anyone who can use human mind can understand that they are wrong. Before these religions come into existence, before that divine message came down from heaven, many people knew these things are wrong. Killing is wrong. Stealing is wrong. Is it necessary for us to get any divine message to understand that it is wrong? That is what the Buddha says. When you use your human mind, you can understand. Not necessary to get any commandment, religious laws. So we cannot say that religion or Buddhism forbidden, ask us not to do this. That is not the Buddhist teaching. Just now you asked this question about rat. ask this question. Supposing if I killed this rat, did I go against the Buddha's or Buddhist law? No. That is not the Buddhist law. That is not the Buddha's law. The Buddha has advised us, if you kill, you have to face the consequences. Therefore it is up to you to decide whether to kill or not. You cannot say, Buddhism says that I should not kill. That is not the Buddhistic language. In every action, we have to consider, if you are not scared of the effect, it is up to you. You can say, I don't care, I want to kill. Then go ahead. Kill, but get ready to face the consequences. Buddhism cannot do anything for you. After committing this, you can come and worship and pray, please forgive. No. Because this law is not created by the Buddha. It is existing universal law. These are very important things for you to think and learn. See the difference. We should not abuse our human intelligence. We have this. But according to our way of thinking, tradition or religious background, we do not use this because we have accepted certain belief either traditionally, if not as religious laws given by the religious authorities. Then we never use our intelligence. The Buddha's way of teaching is he gives the item or the idea for you to think, analyze and understand. Not to obey as a religious law. Then you realize that it is wrong. Now people are going on changing their religion. Buddhists assume become Christians. When they were Buddhists, they were scared to kill chickens and other living beings and taking drinks and liquors, and because they were Buddhists. Akasattha ca bhummattha devānaga mahiddhika puññantang anumoditvā cirang rakkhantu loka sāsanam ittavata cammehi sambhatam puñña sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya devo vassatu kālena sassa sampatti hetuca phīto bhavatu mokoca rāja bhavatu dhammiko